My name's Ryan. I'm a sophomore here at U of L, and I get to serve on a ministry called Run with Christ. It's here in Louisville. It's actually in 81 cities, but in Louisville is where I get to serve. But it wasn't always this way, right? I've been here for a little over a year, but you know what they say about a testimony, right? Like, we gotta have the test too. I wasn't always here getting in front of people. This is not the norm. So I want to take you guys through my story of how I grew up as an atheist and I came to being a born-again Christian. I was not born in a Christian household. We were not going to church. I was not indoctrinated into the faith. I wasn't in Sunday school. That just wasn't what it was. And also my parents, they're both addicts, recovering addicts. So when my mom got pregnant, she was able to stay sober. My dad didn't have the same luck. And that wasn't because he didn't love me. He loved me so much, and my mom loved me so much, but he was so plagued by his addiction that he couldn't stay out of jail. So he would get out of jail and he would come back into my life saying, yes, I'm ready to take care of you. But he just couldn't help it. He was a slave to his addiction. And one day my mom said, we can't do this. I can't continue to wait on you. So we decided to leave. I was born in Cincinnati and we moved to northern Kentucky. And growing up, my mom began to kind of explain to me, what my dad did and who he was. She kind of told me how he would get the drugs from the doctor and sell them, but it didn't make much sense to me. I didn't understand the gravity of the situation. And I looked at him failing, right, as I was going through elementary school and middle school, and I seemed to have it figured out. For me, it was easy, but I was like, dude, why did you even start in the first place? Just don't start doing drugs, right? That's all I knew. I didn't get it. And I was without answers for all through middle school until I got to my sophomore year of high school. And, I'm so thankful that we serve a God that's humbling, that's refining, that meets us where we are, because he was going to tell me. He was going to show me the reason for that question. And up until my sophomore year, life was pretty easy for me. My mom had worked so hard to show me that I don't have to end up like my dad. Everything that he couldn't give to me, she made up for it tenfold. Working so hard so that I didn't even know that we were struggling. And the whole time she was going through her own addictions. But she wanted so badly to show me that it can get better than this. You don't have to end up like this. She wanted me to have the opportunity to have a family for myself. And because of that, I didn't really notice what was going on. But in 2022, that was the first time I'd really felt any adversity that actually affected me and not just my family. And like I was saying, things were easy, right? I was good at basketball. I had the girlfriend I always wanted. Things were good, and I just thought that's what life was, right? I didn't feel a need for God, because why would I, right? I had everything I could possibly want. Until one day in my sophomore year, it was November, and I had this weird feeling. My memory started to slip. For the first time in my life, I wasn't getting A's. I wasn't doing as well as I thought I should have in school. My conversations with people started to change. I couldn't focus on the person in front of me. All I could think about was the next thing. And I was like, what's going on here, right? Why? And the same thing carried over to basketball, right? Up until this point, basketball was going so well for me. I was finally seeing the fruits of my labor. Everything that I'd worked for was kind of coming together, and I was like, yes, thank you. I'm so excited for this. But then one day it wasn't. I went into practice one day and I forgot the plays. And that happens, right? You mess up things sometimes in basketball. That's just what it is, but it wasn't regular. It kept happening and it kept happening, and I started to lose confidence in myself. I started to come to practice in fear, and I would even forget my jersey to games. That's hard. You have 3 things you got to bring to the basketball game. It's your jersey, your shoes, and maybe some water. I would definitely forget the water part. That's just who I was. But if you're a jersey, come on. And that kept happening. And slowly I kind of felt into this depression. Because all I derived my happiness from was from how I was seen by you guys, from people. If I was seen as somebody that was succeeding, then I was happy. If I was seen as somebody that was smart, because that's what I valued, I wanted to be seen as intelligent, as successful. And if I wasn't that, then what was I? So as this cycle continued, like I said, I really got depressed. Like I really started to lose my identity as like who I am. And not because like I was sucking like at basketball, like that sucks. Nobody wants to be bad at their sport. But the main thing is like I didn't know why it was happening. Like I couldn't understand, like why am I losing my memory? That doesn't happen to people. And I began to ask like why me? Like why? Like what did I do to deserve this? And as I realized it wasn't a phase, and this kind of continued from November to January, I started to run for answers. And I was like, Mom, can we go to the doctor? Like, can we just see, like, I don't know what they're going to diagnose me with, but can we just see, like, maybe they have an answer for me? So we went, and we did some tests, and went through all the options, and I was diagnosed with ADHD, right? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And I was like, okay, like, that makes sense. I hear ADHD all the time. But so what? Like, what do I do? Like, can I get my memory back now? And they presented me some options, some behavioral therapy, some different things that you can do to kind of help remedy that. But I was like, no, I need an answer now. I'm in the middle of basketball season. I'm starting to fail all my classes. Like, I need an answer now. So with that, they presented an option called Adderall. And Adderall is a medication used to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it's very effective. And the chemical, just to break it down for you, the chemical name for it is amphetamine. Meth's chemical name is methamphetamine. Like chemically, they're very similar to each other, but I didn't know what I was getting into. And when I heard the word Adderall, I zoomed out on my entire life. I zoomed out, and I was like, where do I know this name from? Where have I heard Adderall from? And I'm jogging my brain, and then it hits me. I remembered one time that I was with my dad, and he got out of jail for about 2 months at a time, and we were going to play basketball together. And he gave me his phone to like look at this video. And I'm scrolling through it, and I see this like message come down. And it's like, do you have the Adderalls? It was something to the tune of like, do you have the Addy? And I kind of like repressed that because I was like, dang man, like at least he's here with me. But then I come back into it, and I'm like, that's where it was. Like that's the same drug that plagued my dad. That's the same thing that took my dad's life away from him. And it all started when he was 19. You know, he was a boxer, and he broke his jaw, and one day they prescribed him painkillers to take away the pain. And he didn't think that was going to be something he did for the rest of his life, right? Like he thought that was going to be maybe a 2-month thing where eventually his jaw healed, but he never got out of it. And I knew that. Like I knew the danger that was there. But on the other side of the coin, I was in so much pain, guys. Like I wanted to die every single day. I said, okay, like we'll try it. Like we're going to go into some moderation here, and we're just going to kind of see if we can do this. So I got the prescription, picked it up that same day. I was like, man, like this is going to be cool. Like I had the orange bottle, the pills were blue and orange. I'll never forget it. And the next day, they tell me like, okay, you're going to take this 15 milligram pill every day, every morning when you wake up. It's going to take about an hour to kick in, and eat some food with it. So okay, easy enough. So the next morning I take it, go through my first period, don't feel anything because it takes a while. But then second period, guys, I took thousands of Adderalls. Thousands. And I will never forget the first one I took. I'll never forget it. As it started to kick in, I'm in my AP Euro class, and literally the words, and mind you, they overdosed me, and I didn't know that. They gave me way too much for my body weight and for my size, and I didn't know that. The words are starting to jump off the page, and I'm looking at it, and I had this intense level of focus that I hadn't had for the past 6 months. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like thank you. Like this is the reprieve I've been searching for. Like no longer do I have to struggle with the things that I was struggling with before. And I go through school that day, and I'm just going at it. I'm like a woodpecker going at some wood. I can do work all day. Like you can't stop me. And I'm going through school, and I'm like, okay, cool. That season of life is over. We're out of that. Thank God. Wasn't thanking God. I was thanking Adderall. And then the day was over. And then I went into basketball practice, kind of hoping that the same thing would hold up, right? That hopefully this would affect other areas of my life, and it did. Like I had the best practice of my life. Not only was it affecting me mentally, it was affecting me physically. Like I was faster, I was stronger. Like my reaction times are quicker because that's what it does. It stimulates your entire nervous system. And then after that day, you know, I'm taking my shoes off, and I'm waiting on my mom to come pick me up, and I'm excited to tell her about it. And I get in the car, and she's asking me like, how was it? Because she's a little weary. because she knows what happened to my dad. She knows what happened to her, so she asked me, she's like, how was it? Are you okay? And I just cried. I was like, Mom, I'm good. We made it. This is it. And so that cycle continued. And I took 15 milligrams, and slowly my life got better and better and better. It just kept getting better. But slowly, after about, I want to say 2 refills, I stopped feeling the effects of the Adderall. And if for a moment I stopped feeling the effects of the Adderall, I got terrified. Terrified, 1, because I didn't want to go back to who I was, but terrified, 2, because I didn't want to look like my dad. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want my mom to look at me and say, he looks just like his dad and I'm disappointed in him. So when that happened, I ran. I ran from that so far that I decided to take it into my own hands. I would take more Adderall. So it went from 15 milligrams a day, went from 15 twice a day, right? And then went from 30 milligrams a day, went from 34 times a day. And you guys are probably wondering, where'd you get all that Adderall from? Well, I started to lie. I started to lie to my family. I started to lie to my friends just so I could do anything to get my next Adderall because I was that scared of going back to who I was. So I told my mom one day, I remember, I took 1 pill, I put it in the bottle, and I poured some water, and I said, I melted them. I need some help. Can you help me out here? She got me and held her case. Now I had 2 sitting under my bed so I could take here and here. And that cycle continued, and it got to a point where, my life had changed completely. I looked back on myself, and I would have these, sobering moments. There would be about an hour of the day where I wasn't high, where it would wear off right before I would go to bed. And I would just think, what's going on? You're kind of becoming the only thing that you didn't want to be in your life, and that's your dad. You're kind of becoming the only thing that your mom had worked so hard to show you that you don't have to be. But then I would just repress those, and I would go to bed because I knew the next morning I could just take a pill, and I wouldn't have to think about that anymore. And yeah, the cycle continues, and we keep going. But eventually I ran out of pills. And there was about a week until my next refill came. And I ran out of pills and I ran out of excuses. I didn't have any more lies for my mom or for my friends that also took ADHD medication. I forgot mine, can I borrow one? I was out of those. So I'm sitting there in my bed and I'm like, uh-oh. I hadn't been sober for about a year at this point. There hadn't been one waking moment where I was really sober. So I'm sitting there in my bed. It's about 6 p.m. and I took the pill at around 12 at lunch. And I know that 6 to 8 hours after it wears off, something's going to go down. But I didn't know what because I hadn't been sober. So I'm watching the clock and it's ticking, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And then it started to hit me. The withdrawals, the headaches, I was throwing up, my vision was 30% there. And I'm like, oh gosh. But what hurt me more was the mental side of it. Because then I really realized what I had become, right? I told you guys I had a girlfriend that I got my freshman year. Now it's my junior year. We've been together for 2.5 years. She comes up to me, she breaks up with me. She says, Ryan, I can't do this anymore. And I could not have cared less. Because that meant that was more time I could devote to taking my pills. We were in the car sitting next to each other, and I was she's crying in my arms, sitting there with me, and I'm just thinking about, can we wrap this up so I can go home and take a pill? That's just what it was. It's all I cared about. And I started to realize, you've gained so much. You're the best player on your team. But what have you lost? You've lost the people that cared about you, the people that actually wanted to see you succeed. And I'm sitting there just mortified. And I knew something needed to change. But I didn't know what. I didn't know how. I was spiritually curious. But I didn't want to ask my friends because I was the guy that had persecuted Christians for my whole life. So one day in basketball practice, I have this friend, his name's Austin. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of Austin, are you a Christian, dude? Because I didn't want anyone to hear me. No, I'm not the Christian guy. I'm not the guy that's curious. So I'm dude, are you Christian? Do you believe in this stuff? And he's yeah, I am. And he invites me to church that Sunday. And I went in, because it was Monday. We got all the way to Sunday. And I got my refill. So I was high in church again. And I was there. We went through it. I don't really remember too much of it because that's how high I was getting, that it really affected my memory. But for whatever reason, I decided to go back. I went back with him, and we would sit next to each other, and this cycle continued where I would see him praising, worshiping, and I didn't have those same feelings. Like, I didn't want to do any of that. So I asked him, I was like, dude, like, we're going to the same church. We're doing the same things, but you have something that I don't have. Like, what is it? So I asked him, I was like, Austin, why do you believe in this? Like, where does this joy come from that's not made by things of the world? And for the first time, he shared with me the greatest story ever told, and that's the gospel. I went to church for 2 months, and I'd never heard the gospel in my life. And he brought out all the stops. Like, it was like he was waiting for me to ask him one day so he could pull out this presentation and show me this, and this. So he gives me the historical accounts. He tells me all the stories, all the prophecy that was fulfilled in the Old Testament, all the archaeological evidence, and then I would come back at him with like, well, what about this? What about this? He had answers for both of them. It was like he was ready for this moment. And I was like, uh-oh, like this might be true. But I didn't want it to be true, because if it was true, that means I had to stop doing something and start doing something else. Like I could no longer live in my comfortability. So I spent the next year of my life trying to disprove Christianity, doing everything I could. I studied the Word, I studied the Quran, I studied all the like little gotcha things so I could be like, look at this, like, you see this? Like, what do you think of that? And he'd be like, I got an answer for it. So I was like, dang it, dude. After about 9 months, I was in my daily study trying to disprove it, and I stumbled upon a story in John. It's John 9. And man, like, this makes me so emotional. And this was the first story I really heard, and to this day, it's my favorite. And it's not on here. I wasn't going to include it, so you don't need to find anything. But the story goes something like this. Jesus is walking down the road doing signs and wonders. That's how Jesus is, right? And he stumbles upon this blind man. And the people that followed him, the apostles, are asking him, like, Rabbi, like, who sinned that this person would be blind? Was it him? Was it his parents? Like, is this a generational curse? Like, what's going on? Why is he blind? Does he deserve it? And he says, neither this man nor his parents sinned. The reason that he is blind is because one day the work of God is going to be revealed in him, and he's going to have a greater story to tell. And I read that, and I was like, man. So he goes up to him, and this is kind of crazy, but, you know, Jesus is our God, he's sovereign, so we agree with it. He spits in the dirt, and he makes mud. That's a lot of spit to make mud. Just like, imagine that for a second. That takes a lot of spit. And he takes the mud, and he rubs it on his face, and he says, go wash off. So the man goes off, and he goes to wash off in the pool, and he comes back, and he's like, well, I can see now. Isn't that pretty cool? I can see. And then the Pharisees are coming up to him, and they're like, what just happened? Like, first of all, they didn't even believe it was him. They thought that it might be somebody that looked like him, but they thought, no way that's him, right? Like, no way that's the same guy that we saw that was blind from birth. So they went and asked his parents. They said the same thing, like, was your son really the guy? And they said, well, go ask him. He's a man. He can answer for himself. So they did. And he said, it is true. I was blind. Like, I'm the same guy. And then John 9:25, it says this. Whether he is a sinner or not, I do not know. But one thing I do know is that though I was blind, now I can see. He didn't get the theology, right? He didn't understand the full picture, but there was one thing that he knows, that though he was blind, and now he can see. And in that moment, I'm like, God, like, can I have a similar story? Like, would you show me? Could you open my eyes? And for the first time, I actually submitted to God, and that night, I met the man named Jesus for the first time. I'm laying in my bed just like, God, like, show me, because I want to know you, but I don't even know where to start. And he met me where I was. And I can't believe I'm saying this right now, because you never, ever would have told me that I could experience a miracle. But I did in that moment. Like, I looked over at my bottle of Adderall, and I detested it. I hated it so much. And I took them up, and I picked them up, and I just threw them in the trash can. In the toilet, actually. Because if I got in the trash can, they'd come back. So I threw them in the toilet, and they dissolved. I flushed it. And I came back, and I'm sitting there like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And in that moment, he literally washed me white of any desire to take Adderall again. And all I wanted to do was know him. And I was healed in that moment. But I didn't know the theology. But I couldn't stop proclaiming what had happened to me in the same way the blind man did. So I started telling people, I was like, guys, like this is for you too. I don't know what's going on, but I know that you have this option. And people are looking at me like, you're crazy. Like you're the guy who used to persecute Christians. My parents are like, what are you doing? Because they're not Christians. They don't know what's going on. My parents my friends that we used to make fun of Christians with, they're like, dude, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know one thing, that though I was addicted, now I am set free. Like that's the truth. So I go on and like, I'm proclaiming this guy named Jesus, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So I was like, okay, you owe it to yourself to know more about the man that saved you. So I started to study the word. And I started to look into it and learn everything about it and understand the truth of my life, of all of our lives. And that truth is that Jesus got on the cross so that all of us would have the chance to live. He died, and then 3 days later, he made a public mockery of what the Romans thought was death. A public mockery. He rose from the dead, and he traded his wooden cross for a golden crown. That's what he did. He traded his cross for a crown. 500 people saw him over the next 30 days. And that's the gospel that saved my life. But looking back on it, now I'm in Christ. It's easy for me to look at these different moments and kind of say, here's where you went wrong, here's where you went wrong. But I kind of want to share them with you, so that you guys hopefully can prevent yourself from falling into some of the same pitfalls that I did. And the first thing that I went through was, obviously, I struggled with loving the things of the world. And here's how the enemy works. And I want you guys to hear this. He disguises captivity as liberation. The enemy disguises freedom, or disguises captivity as freedom, right? So when I'm struggling so much and I think that I've found freedom in Adderall, I'm running to it because I thought that's what I needed to do. Like that's what was going to bring me reprieve, but it wasn't. Like that's the drug that's going to hold me captive for the next 2 years of my life. That's going to tear my life apart, make me lose 30 pounds, make me lose the people that love me, but you don't know that because you don't read the fine print, right? Like we signed this contract, but we're not looking into it entirely because nobody willingly falls into that. And that's where my 2 Corinthians kind of puts it this way. It says, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Like earlier when I shared my story, I said, Dad, like why would you even do it in the first place? The first words say, no wonder, right? Like no wonder he fell into it because the devil didn't come to him with a pitchfork and horns, right? That's not how it looks. It's that he disguised himself as an angel of light. So what he thought was reprieve was not. Because that's the nature of Satan. He is tricky, he is deceitful, and he is a master of disguise. Now, in this verse, Paul is not writing about things of the world, but he's writing about false teachers, right? But my false teacher was Adderall. Adderall was the Lord of my life for so long, so I thought I didn't need God because what could God bring me that Adderall wasn't already doing? I didn't see a need for God. But it was the complete opposite. And what I didn't know that I know now is that everything that's material is going to pass on. It doesn't matter what it is. In your life, at some point you won't be that. Whether if you're rich, if you're beautiful, if you have an awesome relationship, an awesome work life, like one day you're not going to have that. And when you don't, what can you fall back on? Like what can be your safety net? And I put my chips on the worst bet. And when I lost it, I was left with nothing. So when I accepted Jesus, moving around too much, as the Savior of my life, it didn't matter if things went up, down, sideways. It didn't matter if I was playing basketball in college because that's all I wanted. It didn't matter if I went to Harvard because that's where I thought I belonged. Like as long as I had the Lord with me, it didn't matter. No longer did I have to live for the things of the world. And that's what I would have told myself in that moment. Second thing, not idolizing the things of the world. Moving on to the story, I would have talked about moderation. Right, and moderation is, especially for me, with my genetics, like moderation is hard. Because I have that lack of self-control, right? Alcoholism is a real thing, that gene is passed down. But what I said, and 1 John puts it this way, he says, do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. John tells us, do not love the world, right? But what does that mean? Does that mean that we aren't meant to enjoy the world that God has created? Because the beginning of the Bible in Genesis, it tells us that God marveled at his creation. When he made the world, he saw that it was good. But here's the thing. We serve a fun God. Like we do. We serve a God that wants to have fun, that wants, like he made wine. That was his first miracle, right? We're meant to have fun, but there's a difference between loving something and living for something. And the Greek describes this word, love, as used in 1 John, as agape. Right? In the Greek, there's two different translations for love. It's agape and it's phileo. To say I phileo you, I love you like this, is to say that you're my brother. That's where the city of brotherly love comes from, Philadelphia. The city of brotherly love. Like that's where that comes from. So to say that I phileo you is like I love you like a brother or a sister. But to say that I agape you, like 1 John was using it, that's not a casual type of love. That's a devotion. That's a love that's more than just surface level. That means that I'm staking my life on this. Like I depend on you kind of love. And that's what he's advising us not to do. Do not devote yourself to the things of the world, right? You can enjoy them, but do not devote yourself to them. Because if you're doing that, the truth is you're not actually desiring a relationship with Jesus that gets better and better. Right? It's one or the other. If you love the things of the world, you do not have the love of the Father within you. If you're relying on the things of the world, you do not have the Spirit inside you that's guiding you, that's pointing you in the right direction. You can't discern because your life source is not what truly provides life. It's what provides death. And if you weren't listening now, like I want you to listen to this part. Because it applies to everyone in this room. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you are, if you're successful. This applies to you because spiritual warfare is real and it's never going to stop. As he sees you growing in your relationship with Christ, he's going to come knocking on the door more. Like that's just what it is. Like I didn't have any conviction in my life before Christ because he didn't need to. He already had me, right? So he didn't need to bring anything more to me. But as you guys grow in your faith, which I hope you're striving to do, the enemy is on his way because he hates that. He hates seeing this church built up. He hates seeing Sanctuary trying to grow in their faith. Because that diminishes the enemy. But here's how he works. The enemy will test you by increasing your competency. The enemy will test you by increasing your competency. Satan gives you more because having more means that you rely on Jesus less. Right? Like when you can do something and you become good at the thing, you feel like you don't need to rely on God because you are talented, right? And it was the same way for me. And we see it with Jesus, right? When the Spirit leads him to fast, the enemy tests him 3 times. Satan urges Jesus to allow him to increase his qualification by giving him the kingdoms of the world if he would just bow down. He said, all of these things, all of these kingdoms, they're for you, but all you have to do is bow down to me. But obviously it's Jesus, he's sovereign. He's like, nah, get out of here. Like, I'm not going for that. But me, right, not knowing Christ, I was like, yes, I want that. Because as our competency increases, our dependence on God goes down. Right? As our competency goes up, you become more talented. Does your dependence on God come down or does it go up? Like our competency has to increase with our dependence. So as you get promotions, as you find new relationships, as you find success in your sport, we got an athlete right there, U of L athlete, Guards fans, that was up. But as these things increase, it can't be a negative relationship. Like both have to remain true, or one day you're going to lose the thing, and then your dependence on God is so low that you'll have nothing. And that's what it was for me. Like once I was given Adderall, I saw my life change. I saw people start to like me. Like I had the nations, right? I saw my grades increasing. I was being praised every day. Like there was no need for God. My competency was at an all-time low and my qualifications were the highest. So for you, if you want to be ready for spiritual warfare, you have to become increasingly dependent on God, regardless of any successes as deemed by the world. And Peter puts it like this: but in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and respect. Because after I'd given my life to the Lord, like I told you, I had people to answer to, right? The people that I used to make fun of God with, they were like, what's going on with this dude? Like, you're like a completely different person. And like, that's the point, right? Like, I'm a born again Christian. But I had to equip myself with the knowledge to be able to tell him a defense for the hope that I have. And I want to encourage you guys to this because there's 2 sides to this life in Christianity. Like, if you're in this for the long haul, you need to know this. If you don't believe in the Bible, it's insignificant, right? Like, it doesn't matter to you. But if you do believe in the Bible, and I believe that's why all of you are here, then not as only is it significant, it is the most important thing in the world. It is the most important thing now, but it's the most important thing that's ever happened. Like, God sent his son, Jesus, to die for you and you and you and everyone in here so that you would have an opportunity to live. Like, one thing that's not is kind of important. So I would encourage you, any of you that are feeling lukewarm in your faith, to accept that that's not a thing, right? And that's how I was for the longest time. Like, and I look back and I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, one day I would be like, oh yeah, I love God and I'm going to give him glory. But the next day I'd be like, I don't really care about this whole thing. Like, what? He sent his son to die for me and I'm not going to honor that every day? So I encourage you to reevaluate how you look at this, right? Because if it's true and you believe it, there's nothing that's more important in your life. And yeah, if you don't remember anything from this story, remember this. The enemy does not come as a devil with horns and a pitchfork. He appears as an angel of light. So equip yourself with the ability to discern by reading the Word of God, the manuscript for the human heart. Let's pray. Like I said, don't ever let us get used to this. Like, don't ever let us go through the motions. I pray every day that you just bless this church, bless the people in it, that we would just have this zeal for you, that we would desire to know you more and more, Father. And as spiritual warfare attacks us, everyone in this room, I pray that, like Peter said, we would have a defense, right? That we would equip ourselves with a defense, saying that, no, fear and anxiety cannot live here because I have Christ inside of me. Like, there's no room for the enemy to be here. It just doesn't work. But to do that, I would encourage all of you. Equip yourself with the Word of God. As Jonathan put it last week out of Ephesians 6, we need the sword of the Spirit. We need the sword of the Spirit, and we get that by reading the Word. So right now, I just pray for everyone in this room for a fresh wind, a fresh oil, and a fresh fire. We don't need to pray for revival because revival is already here. And can we just live in that today? I would encourage everyone to just share your testimony. Share what the Lord has done for you, because you're never boasting in you, but you're boasting in how God has brought you out of darkness into glorious light. And I'm just so thankful for everyone here today that says, yes, God, I want to know more about you. And ask right now that wherever they are, if they don't know you and they're starting to know you, or they've known you for a long time, that you would just show them, yes, you are my son, you are my daughter that I am so pleased with. I just pray away any feelings of inadequacy right now, regardless of where it is in your work life. If you're a father and you feel like you're not doing the job, like, no, God is pleased with you. He is so pleased with you. And he looks at you and he says, you're my son, you're my daughter who I love so much, not because of what you've done, but because you are mine. In the same way that a mom, right? She doesn't love the baby because of what it's done after it comes out of the womb. It's done nothing. She loves the baby because that's hers. In the same way, we look up to God because he loves us. He loves us so much. And I encourage you guys to just receive that love today for free, because you don't have to do anything to earn it. Receive the love for free. Come out of this church today understanding that you are loved by me, by your brothers, by the people sitting next to you, but by God. My prayer for this church today is that we would look at it like a family. Like a family of people who struggle together, who have the same doubts together, who share the same burdens together, we share the same victories together, but we never do it alone, because that's how the church is called to be. And I just thank you, God, every day for how you've brought me out of darkness into this wonderful, wonderful light. And for the rest of my life, I will do nothing but devote myself to you, because you are the King. I pray this all in your Son's name. Amen.
Let our praise be your welcome. Let our songs be a song.